Hi everyone, we're going to be doing a little bit more math today with Mrs. Hamilton. Our math is going to be something a little bit different than what we've done so far. We've been practicing a lot of adding and subtracting and counting and tallies. Well, today we're going to be talking about telling time to the hour. When we were in school, we talked a lot about what time recess was, what time lunch was, what time are we going to do math, what time are we going to take a rest, all of those things. Well, in order to tell what time it is and tell when things are happening, Mrs. Hamilton and Mrs. Caswell and Mrs. Smith, we always looked at the clock because the clock told us what time it is. Do you know what a clock looks like? You might have one in your house. A clock looks just like this. It's usually a circle and it has all of these different numbers on it from 1 all the way to 12. This big white circle here, we call that the face of the clock. A clock has a face just like we have a face. Now on our face, we have eyes, a nose, a mouth, and all of those things. This clock face doesn't have those, but it does have some things that are important that we need to know. It has the numbers like we just talked about, and it also has hands on it. Now its hands are these black arrows. We have a short hand, and then we have a long hand. And these hands are going to help us out to be able to tell what time it is. We can go through, and in order to tell the time to the hour, we call it o'clock. You may have heard that before. Somebody might say it's 3 o'clock or it's 4 o'clock. And that meant that the long hand, it stays on the 12. And if it stays on the 12, then we know that it is an o'clock. The one that my clock is pointing to right now would be called 1 o'clock. It's called 1 o'clock because the long hand is on the 12, and then the short hand is pointing to the 1. When the short hand points right at a number and the long hand points up at the 12, that means it's an o'clock. So let's go through and name all of the times of the day for the hours. We can call this 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and then when they're both pointing straight up, that would be 12 o'clock. So anytime, just to review, that we see the long hand pointing straight up at the 12, that tells us that it's something to the hour or the o'clock. And then we use the little hand to tell what o'clock that is. So I'm going to give you a quiz real quick. I'm going to make my clock say a time, and I want to see if you can figure out what it is. This was the time that school started every day. If you know what time this is, say it out loud. The long hand is pointing at the 12, and the short hand is pointing at the 8. And that would make it 8 o'clock. Good job. Let's try another one. This time, see if you can figure it out. The long hand is at the 12 and the short is on the 10, which makes it 10 o'clock. Awesome. Now we had recess at this time. The short hand is on the 9 and the long hand is on the 12, so that means o'clock. So this would be 9 o'clock. This was one of our recesses. We had it just a little bit after 9 o'clock. Let's try one last one together. See if you can figure out what time this one is. It's 5 o'clock. Great job. So you can practice this at your clock at home, or you can make a little clock just like Mrs. Hamilton did. I used black paper to cut out the arrows, and then I just use a white piece of paper and I cut out a circle and I put all of the numbers on it. If you are going to make a clock, check out the clock that you have in your house and make it look just like that. These numbers are in certain spots. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. When we look at a clock and these numbers are, the arrows are pointing at the numbers, that's how we figure out what time it is. So you can make your own clock, or you can practice on the clock that's already in your house. Practice telling time to the hour. Have a great day, guys. Bye.